Have you ever felt the need for a phrase that, repeated like a mantra, can guide you through life's challenges? How many times have you found yourself wondering how to face the unexpected without being overwhelmed by fears and negative thoughts? What if there was one powerful, transformative phrase that could help you find peace and strength, no matter your circumstances? A phrase you could repeat every day to build resilience, to embrace life with compassion, and to remind yourself of what really matters. And if you stick around to the end, you'll discover the true meaning of these words and the secret to using them as an anchor of peace, motivation, and wisdom. But before continuing, if you are not one of us yet, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications to be updated when we publish new content for your spiritual growth. In the ancient temple, nestled in the woods of the Japanese mountains, the monk Ryokan lived surrounded by nature and an aura of quiet wisdom. His words had the power to touch the souls of anyone who listened to him. One day, like every morning, a group of pilgrims had gathered to receive his guidance. With a deep voice and eyes that reflected a lifetime of meditation and awareness, Ryokan began to speak. "I accept what I cannot change, and I strive to change what I can." The phrase rang out in the air, simple but solemn. The pilgrims remained silent, savoring the profound meaning of those words. Ryokan began to explain how, repeated with sincerity and constancy, this phrase could change anyone's life, becoming a true anchor of serenity and inner strength. "There are 10 reasons," the monk said gently, "why you should make this your daily mantra." Patiently and clearly, he began to list and explain these reasons one by one. Accepting what cannot be changed frees us from anxiety. Every day we face situations and obstacles that make us feel helpless. When we try to change the inevitable, such as a past event or the actions of another person, we generate tension that fuels anxiety, like a knot that tightens ever more. The more we try to control what escapes our grasp, the more we feed that discomfort. Think of a leaf that tries to resist the wind. In the attempt to remain still, it loses all its energy. Instead, when we repeat this phrase, we free ourselves from this internal battle. It is like letting go of the rope in a game of tug-of-war. The knot comes loose, and with it, also the weight we carry in our hearts. Accepting what we cannot change does not mean resignation, but it is a conscious choice that helps us live more lightly. It is like watching the waves of the sea that break and then retreat without trying to stop them. Over time, this awareness calms the heart and gives us a deep trust, the conviction that, even in chaos, there is a balance. Take responsibility for your choices. Accepting that some things cannot change leads us to focus on what is within our control. Our choices, our actions, our reactions. Every time we repeat this phrase, we are called to be present, to recognize that we can choose how we respond to situations. It is as if we were walking along a path and found ourselves at a fork in the road. We cannot avoid the fork in the road, but we can choose which path to take. Think of a gardener who, finding his garden invaded by weeds, could become discouraged and give up, or decide to remove them and plant new seeds. Every day, by reminding ourselves of this phrase, we train ourselves to make wise decisions without being overwhelmed by events, but knowing that, for better or for worse, our choices matter. Living like this makes us responsible for our destiny, aware that even if the world is changeable, we can always choose how to respond. It allows you to focus on the present. Often our mind wanders between memories of the past, full of regrets, and worries about the future, full of uncertainties. In this way, we miss the beauty of what surrounds us in the here and now, the only moment that truly exists. Repeating this phrase is an invitation to return to the present reality, to live with attention every gesture, every word, every breath. Imagine a painter who, distracted by distant thoughts, cannot see the colors on his palette. But when you focus on the present, every nuance becomes an opportunity for creation. Every time we repeat the phrase, we come home, root ourselves in the moment, and feel the beauty and peace of being alive. It is a reminder not to chase after what has been or what will be, but to live in the moment with fullness and gratitude. Awaken inner resilience. Life inevitably brings us face to face with difficult moments, challenges that push us to test our strength. This phrase teaches us that even if we cannot avoid obstacles, we can find within ourselves the ability to face them. Every time we repeat it, we train ourselves to become more resilient, to rediscover our ability to adapt and react. Think of an old tree that, even though it bends under the weight of the snow, does not break because it has deep roots and a flexible structure. Accepting adversity teaches us to remain firm and strong in the face of the storm, knowing that every difficulty is an opportunity for growth. This phrase becomes a daily exercise for the heart and mind, a reminder to transform life's trials into opportunities to strengthen our spirit. Teach self-compassion. We are often our own harshest critics, quick to judge every mistake and every fragility. But this phrase reminds us to treat ourselves with kindness, to have compassion for ourselves. It is an invitation to recognize our limitations and to accept them without blaming ourselves. Think of a teacher who encourages his students to learn from their mistakes without scolding them. When we repeat this phrase, we learn to be that teacher for ourselves, to forgive ourselves for our imperfections, and to value every experience, even those we perceive as failures. Self-compassion becomes a new habit, which allows us to develop a kinder heart, capable of loving and respecting ourselves with the same intensity we would reserve for a friend. Strengthens the determination to make positive change. Repeating this phrase is not only an invitation to accept reality, but also to commit ourselves to improving what is within our possibilities. Every time we say these words, we remind ourselves that we always have the possibility to act to get closer to our ideals. Like an artist who shapes his work one day at a time, we are called to work with consistency and patience. This phrase is a promise we make to ourselves, a daily commitment to pursue our goals. Every little step we take, every effort, brings us closer to that vision we have for our life. It is like building a house brick by brick, knowing that every gesture is an important contribution. Give peace to the mind. Our mind is often a whirlwind of thoughts and worries, like a stormy sea that never finds peace. Every time we repeat this phrase, it is as if we were throwing an anchor that keeps us stable. Accepting what we cannot change frees us from the constant need for control, allowing us to relax. Imagine a sailor who, instead of fighting against the current, lets himself be lulled by the waves, finding serenity in the flow of the sea. This phrase becomes a balm for our mind, which calms and finds relief. Worries dissolve like fog in the sun, and we feel an inner quiet that allows us to face life with clarity and confidence. It instills gratitude for what you have. The phrase teaches us to look at our life with eyes of gratitude, to recognize the blessings that surround us every day. Often we are so focused on what we lack that we forget how much we already have. By repeating this phrase, we learn to see the richness of what we have, like a person who, after having sifted the river in search of gold, realizes that the most precious stones were precisely those at his feet. Gratitude thus becomes a lens that allows us to appreciate every little thing, every person, every moment. We discover that true happiness is not given by fulfilled desires, but by the ability to recognize and appreciate the value of what we have. It helps to let go of grudges and resentment. In life, we encounter people who hurt us and disappointing situations, but continuing to hold on to grudges is like carrying a weight that weighs us down. Every time we repeat this phrase, we learn to let go, to not allow resentment to rob us of inner peace. Think of a boat that frees itself of ballast to be able to sail lightly. Thus, every time we forgive, we free ourselves from the weight of the past and allow our heart to heal. This phrase is an invitation to choose the lightness of forgiveness, to let go of pain, and to live with an open heart, ready to welcome new peace and serenity. Opens the door to spiritual growth. Repeating this phrase is a step toward deeper awareness, a path that leads us to a higher understanding of life and our place in it. Every time we say these words, we get closer to our essence, to our soul. Like an explorer who, crossing unknown lands, discovers the sense of a greater union, this phrase guides us towards a spiritual growth that goes beyond our ego. It is an invitation to rediscover our connection with the universe and to live in harmony with everything that surrounds us, finding in this journey a sense of fullness and unity that transcends everything. The pilgrims listened in silence, feeling that those words touched their hearts deeply. Rilke's words were like a melody that resonated in their souls, filling them with peace and new hope. The monk concluded gently, "This phrase can become your mantra, a faithful companion that will guide you in every moment of difficulty. Treasure it, repeat it every day, and you will see how your life will change." Repeating every day, "I accept what I cannot change, and I commit to change what I can," means welcoming life with wisdom and strength. This phrase is a beacon, a guide that helps us find peace, resilience, and serenity. Rilke's promise is fulfilled every time we repeat it. We learn to face difficulties with courage, to be kind to ourselves, and to live in the present with gratitude and serenity. But this phrase is also a symbol of hope. Every time we say it, we remind ourselves that we are the architects of our own destiny. It calls us to a deeper dimension where our soul can grow and strengthen like a tree that sinks ever more solid roots. Constant repetition takes us beyond the surface of things, making us come into contact with what really matters. It teaches us that we are not alone, that every experience, beautiful or difficult, is a tile that makes up the mosaic of our life. This mantra accompanies us everywhere, supports us in the hardest days, and urges us to be present and to seek beauty in the simplicity of the moment. It becomes a compass that shows us the way back to ourselves, to our true nature. And over time, this phrase takes root in our hearts until it becomes part of our essence. It is no longer just a series of words, but a force that transforms us from within, reminding us every day that we are capable of welcoming, transforming, and shining like the light that, even after the storm, always finds a way to illuminate our path.